Colonel Steyn, is it correct that you have testified about the number that we have given to this court, and you said it belonged to Mr. Ntuli? Is that correct?
That's no suspect number 5.
Mr. Ntuli?
Yes, you know.
Okay. Where did you get that number from?
I also received it from the investigation team, as well as the searches were all done by myself.
Do you have any proof from the service provider that it belonged to Mr. Ntuli?
Not from the service provider.
Secondly, Colonel Steyn, you testified that on all the occasions that you mentioned, the number belonging to Mr. Ntuli communicated with that one of Ms. Kelly Khumalo. Am I correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Can you just quickly remind me on those incidents? I remember the 20th of August that you testified, and there are other few dates in which you said there was a communication. Can you remind me of those instances?
The first one was on the 2nd of August.
Which year?
Of 2014.
Yes.
And then again on the 15th of October 2014. That's the only two I refer to.
That's the only communication between
That's the only two I pick up, yes, correct.
Mr. Ntuli and Ms. Khumalo.
That's correct, my lord.
Okay, because you understand the chart very well, who called who in these transactions?
That's correct.
Who called who?
Your suspect number 5 called Kelly. Because on my previous page,
On the 2nd of August, it was the number allegedly said to belong to Mr. Ntuli that made a call to a number allegedly said to belong to Ms. Kelly Khumalo.
That's correct, my lord.
On the 15th of October, that's the same.
That's correct, my lord.
None.
Do you have, from your investigation, I see you are qualified from the experience and the qualifications you have told us. But maybe just to clear me, I'm lost about the institutions wherein you studied. In Ferry Glen, Pretoria, which institution, which university is that?
It's not a university. It's a cell phone data specialist company who was based in South Africa. But they're not in South Africa anymore. They moved out.
Okay.
That's called the I2 company. The company is called I2.
Okay. It's not an educational institution. It's just a company.
No, it's an institution. We was part of the training of all the police officers as well as your private sectors, companies and stuff.
What type of qualification you obtained in that institution, from that institution? Especially in this one, in Ferry Glen, Pretoria, investigative software.
Ferry Glen, Pretoria. You see, the company was based previously in Garsfontein. Then they moved to Ferry Glen, Pretoria. Then you can receive training in analyze notebook, anything in which you need to do analysis.
Okay, but the type of qualification that you received there, you obtained, what is it? Is it a diploma? Is it a certificate? Is it a recognition?
It's both. It depends on how long is your course.
What did you take?
Some of the courses I took about 3 to 4 weeks. Some of them is only a week or 2. And then you go for regular update courses.
You go for?
Regular update courses.
Okay, but in your case, what was the duration of your study here?
My first one, which I received in Garsfontein, it was about 6 weeks. And then after that, it was normal about 2 to 3 weeks.
And what did you get? Certificate, diploma?
A certificate.
Ngathola-ke ama-certificates.
Okay. Then let's move on now. To my question that I wanted to put to you. As a result of the investigation that you did, can you tell this court, can you be able to tell this court with certainty if the number allegedly said to belong to accused number 2 was used by number 2 at the time when that call or that transaction was made?
My Lord, I can only mention to the court that number make a call to that number.
So what is your answer to my question?
I can't tell the court. If the investigation team can't come and say, this is the phone who belongs to you, I can't answer it.
Same with the receiver, with the recipient.
That's correct, my Lord. I can only tell that number receive a call from each other.
So I want us to correct that, Kenya, because you are experienced. You don't have proof that the phone call that was made from this number and then the call that was received from this number was made by 2 people. So let's use reference to the numbers, then people.
What I can tell, well mention to the court, the investigation team did give me enough evidence to tell me that the number ends with 202 belongs to suspect number 5. The other number ends with 458 belongs to Kelly Kumalo. And that the investigation leader will come and testify about that.
Colonel, I don't want us to testify or to refer on the hearsay. That's why I said from your experience, can you tell this court with certainty that the person who made a call on such a date, which is the 2nd and 15th, was Mr. Ntuli? And then your answer was no. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah. So let's move in that line, Colonel.
But now I also want to mention to the court, I got enough evidence which I received from the investigation team that the number belongs to A, B, or C. But I can't tell that I saw the phone in your hand.
Colonel, for the sake of progress, let us not waste the court's time. Let us not refer to someone's evidence that amounts to hearsay. I am saying from your knowledge, let's move in that line so that we can be able to move forward. Do you understand?
I understand, my Lord.
Yes.
I agree with that because
Thank
someone
you.
else will come and testify about the point.
Yeah.
And then from your investigation, can you tell this court with certainty if the number read into the record as the number belonging to Mr. Ntuli was recorded or not? If yes, to which address was it registered to?
The number wasn't recorded in his name.
So it
Where
was recorded
Kamalak?
under which name?
I'm not sure, my Lord.
Angazi ke igama elalivelela elibonisa ukuthi ke ilona elarika leyo nambolo okwakuthiwa ke inambolo kaBabuntu.
From your investigation, you couldn't find that.
That's correct, my Lord.
Okay.
Uqhamuka ke kuphenyo engangilenza akuvelelanga ukuthi leyo nambolo yarikhelwa egameni likabani.
Okay. So it is your evidence that from your investigation you couldn't determine if this number allegedly to set belonging to accused number 5 was recorded under his name or was recorded under any other person's name.
It was definitely recorded, my Lord, but not under his name.
Thank you, my lord, for the indulgence of the court. Sorry, Colonel, for the disturbance. You were just giving the explanation. I said, if you say it was recorded under whose name?
I'm not sure, but definitely not his name because then I should have known. And you couldn't use it if it's not Rika.
And the address given there too as well, under the Rika transaction?
I'm not sure about the address, but then definitely not sure it wasn't his name.
Okay. So if it was recorded under someone else's details, how then do you say it belonged to Mr. Ntuli?
Now, identify this number was used by suspect number 5.
So the information you got is that it was used by number 5 by Mr. Ntuli, not that it was recorded under Mr. Ntuli.
That's correct.
Who gave you that information?
The investigation team.
Precisely who? Can you mention the name of
It will
the...
be Brigadier Gaginda.
From your investigation, Colonel Steyn, from the number that is alleged to belong to Mr. Ntuli, was it placed at the crime scene on the date of the incident? Through your investigation, maybe by tower, it may be by whatever, was it placed at the crime scene on the date of the incident?
No, my lord, because I already mentioned we arrested them too late in the lapse period, so we couldn't apply for 205s.
From the communication that we have testified, tell me if I'm speaking soft, from the communication that we have testified about in this court, precisely the two, the one for the 2nd of August 2014 and the one for 15 October, can you be able to tell this court if from your intense investigation that we have done, you were able to pick up the conversation between the two people or between the two devices
That's correct.
that communicated to each other?
No, we're not able. You can only trace that there was communication. You can't recall the conversation.
The question I'm going to ask now, Colonel, I'm asking it because you are a senior officer of the SAPS. Do you understand that?
And one of the oldest as well, my lord.
From your investigation, does your evidence inform this court that if there is anything that was conspired between Mr. Ntuli and Ms. Kelly Khumalo out of your investigation? Could you determine?
No, I
and
can't.
tell the court if there was any conspiracy or if there was any discussions about the commission of the offense of this case?
No, my lord, I can't.
Is it also correct, Colonel Steyn, that Ms. Khumalo is not a suspect in this case?
That's correct.
Is there any unlawfulness in the communication between the number allegedly said to belong to Mr. Ntuli and the number allegedly said to belong to Ms. Kelly Khumalo?
If there was, I can't prove it.
Uma ngabe kukhona ukuthize okungekho semthethweni.
From your experience, Colonel Steyn, if someone's cell phone is said to have been picked up at the crime scene or linked with the crime scene at the time when the incident took place, does that mean that the offense was committed by the owner of that cell phone, of that number?
It doesn't mean that, but he must actually, the owner of the phone must explain what did he do at the crime scene.
No, Colonel, my question is, besides that person giving you information from your own investigation, when you investigate and you find that the number of that person, it is discovered that it linked or it was at the crime scene at that particular, it was connected, I think that's what you said, it was connected to with the crime scene. Does that mean from your own investigation or experience, it was used by the owner of that cell phone?
That's correct. If you can just refer to which number, then we can go back and see if there was a call made in the vicinity of the crime scene from which tower. Then I can tell you there was a call made by, let's say, Kelly Khumalo from the crime scene, or Zandile Khumalo.
But you can't connect it with a person. You can just connect that the number.
That's correct. A number in the cell phone
was used.
That's correct.
You cannot tell with certainty as to who was using that number.
If I got witnesses who can state that, then I can prove it.
From the investigation that you have done, do you have proof? Or maybe can I just rephrase, my lord? I'm sorry. From your investigation, does it show to any degree of certainty if the communication between accused number 3 and Mr. Ntuli shows any conspiracy to commit the offense?
No, my lord, like I mentioned, I can just tell the court that there was communication.
My lord, can I ask that we pause here? Tomorrow I will continue with the towers that were set to, the towers that were referred to this court, wherein the number allegedly belonging to the accused was said it was connecting from.
My lord, there isn't any towers which links to the suspect. Remember, we didn't have his 205 of time of the crime. We only got the other parties.
It may be towers, it may be the other word, but they are Kimberley, they are Limpopo, they are those areas.
Yeah, but that's correct.
Yes.
That's not the information of suspect number 5. It's totally nothing to do with him.
And then we'll take it from there tomorrow, my lord.